Things I Never Told My Doctor, Part 3 by John P. Gallagher. Chapter 4. I attended Lane Tech for my freshman year of high school. Most people ignored me most of the time. Lots of people saved seats in the lunchroom. I did not know very many people, so I had difficulty finding a seat. I had to walk all over the lunchroom, which was quite large. I cut school a lot and had colds, so I had difficulty getting to know people. Everybody was getting to know their regular friends, and I was fitting in less. For a while I had strep throat, so I missed even more school and social interaction. One of the great things about I got out of Lane was an education in English. My teacher was a writer herself. She gave me the book she taught with, along with a reading assignment. When I got home, I read it on the dining room table after dinner. I continued until quite late in the night. I did not notice anything around me or my family walking by. Mom came up to me and said it was time for me to go to bed, that I had read enough. I was learning how to write mostly by sound, which was the key concept that I learned from the class. The other good thing I got out of Lane was finding out that there are sources of grant funding available for various things that people do. I thought that was where I'd probably eventually find funding for things I may want to do. I got in trouble again with some more juvenile delinquency. I had to talk to a psychiatrist, but the result was that I ended up on probation for 6 months. When it was time to check in with the probation officer, Mom told me. She gave me the probation officer's address. I figured out the directions to his office using the phone book's map of Chicago. When I got there, he stated that I was on time and asked how I was doing. I told him I was doing fine. He told me he was busy and I seemed to be doing okay, so I could leave. Chapter 5. We moved to Streamwood, Illinois, in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. We left Chicago because Mom and Dad were concerned with our family's growing criminal trouble. They thought the suburbs would have few problems. Charlie, Patrick, and I were going to Elgin High. I felt that I did not fit in with anyone. I noticed people going out to the woods next to the school grounds before school started. I found out they were partying. They were getting high on pot. I eventually made some new friends, and then many more once I started partying with them. There were a few parties at people's houses where I'm not sure what was going on. I woke up in bed at home with bumps on my head. I remember somebody picking up my arm as if they were seeing if I had a pulse. There was another time I took some street pills a friend gave me. I wonder if it was penicillin, which I am allergic to. My friend probably did not think about what would happen to me. He must have just thought he would see what the effect would be. Once I went to the bowling alley with my brother Charlie and some of his friends. We were sitting in the alley diner, and they passed me a joint to hold. They needed to get rid of it. They told me I would not be taken because of my age. The police came in, and we had an interaction. They put handcuffs on me and were escorted me to the police station. I thought it'd be funny, rather than follow the police, to turn and go into the bowling alley. The policeman grabbed by the cuff and said, "Okay, we're going to let you go." Some of my friends wanted to climb to the rooftop of our school so we could say that we did. Climbing down was more difficult. I thought it'd be hard on the knees. We stacked up two large steel drum garbage cans to climb up. I had second thoughts that they would tip over and then we'd fall on our backs. I thought it would be safer to go directly down to the ground. I could see that the garbage cans were balancing against the building. I dropped down to the top garbage can. One of my friends went directly from the rooftop to the ground. He probably had knee pain. That is what I decided to avoid. I was out in the woods with some friends. There was these guys who were a few years older than us. They were going past us in the woods. One of them asked if I wanted to buy some Colombian gold pot. They showed it to me. I think word had got around that I was working for my father, so I had some money and an allowance. I bought some of the Colombian gold pot. They asked if I would like to go to party down with them. My friend said that they had to go to class, but I should go with them. We went to one of their apartments and were sitting around. They started asking who my father worked for and other talk about liking to party. I said I needed to go back to school to go to class. We were going to the parking lot and I started to collapse. One of the guys saw that I was falling and said, "Grab him." When I next regained consciousness, I was in the back seat of someone's car, and it was night. We were parked on a cliff. A police car pulled up alongside and rolled down its window. The policeman said, "So you've got him?" I did not remember anything after that, except waking up in my bed in the afternoon with bumps on my head. I remember being dragged into my bedroom. Eventually, I was partying almost all day at school. When I was with someone who had to go to class, I would walk back to school from the woods and meet up with some other friends who were going to the woods to party. This went on day after day, week after week. I would always know someone who was going partying. I never asked what we were partying with, except some people seemed to know that certain people were into certain drugs, and I should not hang around with certain people. I really got high with some people, which was quite different from the others. I walked into the living room. My father was sitting on the couch. He looked at me and said, "That should give them something to think about." A friend of mine said that some people were late bloomers. I thought she was acknowledging the fact that I was not doing quite so well in school, and maybe in bed too. I decided to drop out of Elton High School. I was getting bored with being around the house a lot during summer. I was thinking about the book report I did of the biography of Houdini after seeing the television movie. I thought of hypnotizing myself the way he did. I lay in bed and focused on a lamp. After a while, I was out. I thought I should get up, and I turned on the second furnace in the family room. The furnace was broken. We were told not to turn it on. It flooded gas into the house. Nobody else was home except me. I felt very tired and walked back to my bedroom to go back to sleep. I could not move and get out of bed. Charlie and his friend Ted came into my bedroom and opened all the windows to let out the gas. I got up, and my parents had just got home from vacation. Mom told me she was glad she did not light up a cigarette because the whole house would have blown up. A few days later, Ted, who I spent a lot of time with when Charlie was working, came outside my bedroom window. He told me he knew my family was moving. He said, "When I can't get hold of a pot, I take a handful of aspirin. I get heart palpitations." He waved and said bye-bye. Chapter 6. My family moved out of Streamwood, Illinois during summer. Before moving, I had a discussion with Mom where I told her that all the kids in school did was nothing but partying all day long and all night sitting around. I didn't know if that had an impact on us moving. I do not know if the bumps in my head were from not going to school to get high. Who knows what they were smoking? We moved to Bloomington, Illinois, and I was now an aspirin addict. I was overdosing on aspirin. I would frequently take 12 pills at one time. That would be when I remember Ted. I got a job doing dishwashing at a restaurant. Once I used money from my job to buy pot. I realized it was not a good idea. I was tired of the fact, but it was good for escapism. I thought there must be other ways to escape. I started finding other things to do to escape. I used the money from my part-time dishwashing job, to start a business. I decided a mail-order business would not require the expense of an office and could reach more people. I called it Two-Tone Creations. Wrote down other names for the businesses that I thought I might eventually start with a little seed money. I made a list of 50 names. That turned out to be a creative writing project. I quickly came to the reality that those were not doable. It was fun though. Two-Tone Creations was a small mail-order jewelry business company. I could get catalogs from the manufacturer to mail to my customers. The wholesale cost of the jewelry was 10% of the retail cost. I decided I could sell them at a discount to generate more sales, so I started the business. I was having a really good time with school. I knew I was behind on my credits to graduate. I started thinking of getting a GED eventually. I think I felt good because I was making friends without the socialization of pot or alcohol. I found that there were colleges that let you into their school if you just passed their entrance exams, instead of taking the ACT or SAT, in case I did not get that finished.